All right, folks, back at it, building out more Blackmoor. And I've done a little bit of work building out green spaces and have a chunk more stuff designed than we talked before. And I am working on this merchant quarter over here. This, I think, is going to be where the gnomes are based. Let's see, is that right? Yeah, this is where I think the gnomes are going to be based there. And I think there's some good workshops based built in here also. And yeah, right here, I was thinking would be a really good design place for, real good place for a workshop and a series of workshops intermixed. And I'll be building out, of course, that detail. And I have kind of built over from this promenade all the way across. A little bit more to finish up in here, finishing up this cross street, kind of letting this peter out a little bit down in here. And I have to finish up this, would be a neighborhood. And so I'm finishing the line across. I'm going to finish this cross street. And then we probably will go over here and start to think through all of this. Oh, when did that happen? That looks like error. Interesting. I think that's a rendering problem because pretty much all of this has been painted in one way, shape, or form. So we'll go take a look at our brush texture. We're going to go back over to Dungeon Fog itself physically. And we're going to Dungeon Fog itself physically because it's got the best stuff when it comes to terrains and contours. I haven't seen anything that I can pick up through third party or that I can design myself that can kind of beat the contours and stuff. And this is dark cobblestone, I think is what I've been using here. So we'll go to stone. We'll go to workstone. And if you go up here, take a look at it as it builds out. Yeah, dark cobblestone is what I've been using. So I'll go and grab the brush, come over here, and it should fill it right in for us. And that may mean that we have redundant layers, which sucks up a little bit of memory, but shouldn't be a problem for me on this computer, which is insane. So I just got a Corsair 1 with 32 gigs worth of RAM and a new Intel 9 processor, and it's kind of awesome. So anyhow, investment I made in myself. I am in my pseudo retirement now, and I putter around at night doing things so I don't get bored, helping out at a distribution center, and for the most part, I'm nerding and gaming all the time, and it's kind of awesome. This being a really good example of that. So, let us see then. Let's go down here, and I think I'm going to work on finalizing some of my cross streets here. So we're going to go across here and down there. And I don't know if I've done design work with you in a real tight view. And it just gives you, I try and build this so I can convert any of these to a battle map in a rush. And that gives us an area of the city that, if the players should require tactical engagement, we can do it. So I'm going to finish this down and this. I'm going to go across the street here. I'm going to build a little bit of a square there, and I may drop a well or a fountain into it. Although there seems to be a pretty good water supply here from what I've done. But what I'm going to do is I need a straight line. I want mid-sized houses or clusters of houses. So let me go down to the normal individual houses and see if I see anything that I like. Ooh, that could work really well there. Nah, the angle's too hard. Let's see, what about that? That might work. Let me spin it a little bit. So we'll take it around about 240 degrees and see if I'm even close. No, I'm not. The other way, Dad. Take it to 105, see how that... Oh, that's much better. I am going to, I think, drop that right there. And that gives us nice building, sets the street up. I'm going to back it off a little bit. I want a little bit more room for the street. So I will shift it back to about there. And that'll give us nice public space. All right. And what sort of building do I want to plunk in next to this? What I may do, let's see something like that, long and thin and narrow. Yeah, it could be done. What I'll do is I'm going to drop the scaling to about half, take a look at how that scales. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to rotate it by a bit, see where I land. And this is always for me. I'm getting better at just sort of thumbnailing it in, but always takes a bit of tweak. And I'll go down to 55 in terms of rotation, see where that lands us. Oh, no, 55, Dad, not 5. And that is pretty good. And that looks like a long building sitting next to it with a nice portico on the front. Stairs going up to it, which indicates it's probably got a flood resistant design, which is an issue here. We do have swamps right outside. All right, so a couple nice little alleys. Got that angle set well. Now I just got to run the street in the other direction. For that, I think I'm going to go back up here and find a strip. Doesn't have to be a huge strip, but needs to make sense. That building cluster. Nah, it's got that dark outline. I don't really like that. How about that building cluster? That could work. Let me give it some rotation and see what it looks like. Start with a 90. See, that's getting there. Go to 125. Alright, that could work. I think I'm going to drop that right about there and put another building in next to it. Scale of the houses is okay. They're a little bit on the large side, but that's good. Alright. I'm going to leave that there, and I will probably, let's see, anything I want to do in here. Let's put that there. And that kind of indicates we've got some interior life going on there. And then it's really up to me. Do I want to have that be a side street or have it back up against stuff? I think I will have it be a back up against stuff. So let me try some rotation here. And it will begin to make sense what my internal narrative is. Let's drop the scale on that to about 75. Okay, we're going to drop it down to about 50. See what it looks like at about half size. Alright, that fits in there pretty good now. So we will drop, I'm going to take the rotation down about 5 degrees. Alright, there we go. We're going to drop that there. And then what we will do is we're going to paint in some green space. So let's go over here. Change our brush texture. We have to go back to Dungeon Fog, which used to be incredibly painful before I upgraded my computer. Forest. Don't really need. That's really good terrain, but it's really for a forest map. Now we've got a bunch of different options. I think this is going to be grass. Not going to do anything incredibly funky with it. I like to change the color up a little bit just to make it visually interesting. So we'll go over here and we will drop that grass in. And that is grass, so that has a contour of grass. I always do that and hate myself when I do it. I like the green, I like the intensity of the green, but in this environment, you know, if it was a tighter scale map, you'd want to use that. It was the scale where you can see the blades of grass for your PC, so for a battle map, that's a great green. But I'm just looking for a dark green without the breakdown. So there we go. That's better. Gotta be careful there. Nice thing is the Dungeon Fog is very forgiving for you when you are you know, drawing stuff in. It lets the buildings hide stuff and you can sneak stuff in like that and, you know, build good maps. So that'll be a nice little green space in there. These buildings are all backed up and I'm building more and more of that, as you can see. And there we go. All right, I need to build or find some fences or gates to land there because I think some of these spaces would be gated, but that's a separate issue. So building, back to building, because building is, you know, building. So we will go back over to the asset collection that I've gotten. And I have to look up where I bought these so I can talk to everybody about them because I think they're pretty outstanding. So, all right. Outstanding, I say. Oh, unbelievable. All right, so let's see. I'm thinking this just needs to be boxed off a little bit. And I'm going to drop something interesting in there. Too big, not the right shape. Just something odd, but that will make sense there. All right, could drop that right in there. No. Let's see what that looks like if I invert it. I don't know. I could do it. Let me play with angle and scale. Let's try scale. going to take the mirror H off it. Just going to do rotation. See what 0 looks like. Alright, we'll try a 90. Let's give it a right angle, see how it sinks. Whoops, we're going to try 270, the other right angle. Alright, so I can drop that there. And we have a little courtyard between those two buildings, which is interesting. And then we will rotate that 270, I think. Did I learn my lesson? Or am I going to have bad math? Yes! I actually learned my lesson. I'm going to drop the scaling on that down to about 60%. And I will try a 260. And drop that in. Alright, that's interesting. Okay, and then I need a quarter building here. No, not that. I need a quarter building or something to run that strip. Let me go shopping for something a little bit bigger. Yeah, that could work. Do I want anything longer? Well, that is kind of interesting. Or I can do just a longer strip. What is that? Oh, that's weird. Looks like some sort of Star Trek vehicle. I'm going to drop it in because it looks cool. So let me rotate it. I'm going to see what a 180 looks like on that. Alright, that's kind of cool. We'll try a 155. Getting there. 145. Alright, that refines that a little bit. I'm going to take it down another 5 degrees, see where it lands. We will drop that right there. And my son is calling me, so I'm going to take a little break here and I'm going to mute. So, my boys are autistic. Sometimes they ask me interesting questions. They both have their own money. We get good deal support. And I've been able to do some awesome things for them. And they are awesome human beings. And anyhow, they were contemplating a buying decision on a game they wanted to pick up. And my job, as always, is consultation and consideration, and I think we have decided not to do the acquisition because it does not fit with our current budget. So fatherhood occasionally wins. So let's pop some rotation into this. Alright, same interesting view. I'm gonna kick I think I'm gonna go 50 on that, probably going in the wrong direction. Nope, I wasn't. So I'll drop that in there, and we've kind of finished that street. Alright, let's see. It's a little bit wider than I would want. Let me go see if I can find a little building to drop in there. Nothing too crazy, but the heck is that? Alright. Alright, let's drop the scale on that pretty substantially. We'll take it down to 50. Alright, I'm going to tighten up the rotation a little bit so it's square. Put about 15 on it. Oops, the other 15. So 245. 345. There we go. So we will drop that in there. Gives us another building. Also breaks it up a little bit with color. Do I want to do anything else in there? Let me see. I know what I could do. So I think I can. I've got a specific building in mind, but I gotta find it. Not seeing it. I thought I had one that had a couple short walls on it. It might be a cluster. No. Remember that building right there. That's got tons of uses. All right. Was this it? No, it's not narrow enough. Was that it? No, but that's a dang cool building. All right. This is where it doesn't go quick, and I imagine watching me stare and pick through buildings is not the most exciting for all consumers, but I certainly am enjoying it. All right, yeah, they were in here. I was thinking something like that might work. Just square it off. Let me see what a mirror V does. Nah, too extreme. Let me see what a mirror H does. Nope, doesn't work. So we will try a 180. So we have done a 180, and then we're going to drop scale by half and see how that looks like in terms of putting the puzzle together. Alright, that is kind of interesting. So I will drop that right there. And then we have potentially workshops to join with either of these buildings. We got a nice transfer through there. And I am going to also, while I'm here, I'm going to look at some fountains and think about placement. Alright, so city design through, I think this is under fountains. Yeah, I got 3 fountains to work with. I don't say I want one there, but I think one there makes sense. Got to cut the scale, of course. We'll go down to about 50 here, and we're going to drop a fountain right in there because it's cool. I am thinking, by the way, oh, why didn't that place? Let me try that again. Didn't place. That's not good. Alright, so we're going to save. Oh, there it goes. It placed twice. Dang lag. Alright, so we will undo one of them. Alright, and there's the one that we wanted. Okay. I am thinking about, and this is just something that's been going through my head, is something I could do on one of the festivals. And the festivals in Blackmoor are pretty cool. If you haven't checked that out, let me show you. Gonna knock out the there's Adobe over here. Da, 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 da. Turn that on so you can actually see it, I guess. So here's Adobe, and back here over behind the Blackmoor City posting, there is some cool stuff about the holidays, and I think it was built out really well. And these are all things that, you know, as I understand it, Dave would bounce off of every once in a while and talk about. And this was Dustin and a couple of lead writers sitting down with him and talking him through the holidays. So you got Kissing Day and the Spring Equinox, King's Day, the Remembrance Day, Ascendance, Summer Solstice, Ten's Day, which is, you know, about the day of mourning for losing 10. Merriweather. So there's a bunch of different holidays in here. And one of the people in the campaign, Chris Wade, great player, great writer too. He had a series of adventures that were themed on the holidays that I just loved. But anyhow, I was thinking, so let me back off here and show you. So I've got this street that seems to be running the circumference of the city, and I am thinking about having a foot race or a horse race, or maybe both, that are around the outside of the city as part of one of the festivals, and involving the players in that. And I think it would be a big deal and really super fun. So just FYI, just, part of being a DM, thinking things through. There's the game, and the game is tremendously important. The role-playing component is fed by, however, the role-play component is fed by a sense of temporal reality, a sense of place, right? And what you do is a good DM, I think, is you build a sense of place for your players, and you engage them in the detail that are relevant to their characters. So, end of last session 7, Fletcher William is talking to Delbert Galen, and Delbert Galen is super challenged by what's going on with his sister. And the conversation talks about culture, talks about the cabal, talks about the challenges that he has personally passed through and that Delbert is passing through. And in that context, we're sitting inside of the University of Blackmoor. This is a student coming back to one of his mentors after the fact and talking to him. So it was important for me to anchor in space and anchor in a place and a context. And all the little detail that you build helps you do that. And when you sit in a space in a gaming environment like this for an extended period of time, you get to do more and more of that and make it deeper and richer in a lot of ways. And, one of the things I'm conscious of as I stream this and I do work on this is one of the most revered game settings there are. There's a lot of people who have played and been tremendously invested over time with Blackmoor. And what I'm doing now is paying homage to that and refining. That's all. All right, so enough editorializing. Let's get back to design, shall we? All right, back over here on the cliff. And we'll go back down here into this little neighborhood. We drop that. We're gonna go back to we're gonna stay in this. Don't really need anything else. That was me not thinking it through. So, but I'm gonna wipe out fountain so I can see my inventory. Alrighty then. Got a straightaway I got to build there. So we will look at building groups and see if we can find a reasonable and interesting straightaway. Nothing too crazy. I've used that a few times lately though, so I'm going to go find something else. Not a ton of space, but most certainly appropriate. So we'll drop that as a building. And then let's take a look at what this can do. No, that's not right. I'm more inclined to do, it's got that nasty edge, and not a lot of these buildings do, but I'm also, alright, that. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about, that design for up in here, but we made it work with that. Alright, so see what a 90-degree kick does on this. Pretty good. Take it to 105. And I'm going to drop that right there, I think. Edge it up just a little bit for interest. And I've got space I got to fill with that. I'm going to go down to an individual building for that. And let us throw a 90 on that, see what it does. It's not scaling, Ted. It does good things. Alright, so it's a 270. right, so I'll call it a 260. Playing with it, playing with it. There we go. I'm going to take that down to about 70. And that is interesting. And not out of line. Okay, so works fairly well for us. I'm going to finish up this section of street here, I think. Let's see. Alright, that's a little bit too big though. I'll take that down a bit. Alright. Our house in the middle of the street. Alright, so finishing this up for the sake of finishing it up. I want to knock down some more of this. It's going to take, so I have it ready fairly quickly. So I've got some things I got to drop in there. What do I want to do there? Let me think that through. All right. $3.15. All right, now scale. I'll drop a 50 on that and see what it looks like. There we go. I can go up to 60 on it, I think. Better. All right, that's kind of finished. I have some things I can do right in there. So what will I do? Well, that's tremendously interesting. So I'm going to give that some rotation. Whoops, other way. That finishes that up in a really interesting way. I like that. Well, it's a little bit off center. Let me play with it a little bit too tight. So we'll do that and get the same effect. Yeah, a little bit better spaced. Okay, last of this piece here, and I think I think we should sing us a song, or Piano Man. Alright, I want to do something right in there. I'm going to look for one of those sharp angled pieces. See how that goes together. Alright, let's see what that does. See what that does. That's interesting. Okay. Let's do some rotation on that. Ah! Not 360, 340. Got off on the keyboard. Alright. Gonna drop scale just a little bit. Take it down to 85. And bang. There we go. Interesting. Makes sense. Feels like a neighborhood. I'm good. Alright. I am, however, going to work on this one here. Oh, it's an entire piece. Okay, go leave it alone. Alright, let's go back to here. Alright, fill out this last little section in here, and then we will go rethink some other sections of the city. Okay, so this actually is fairly self-contained. The only way in it really is there. So I think you make some housing here, and maybe middle-class servants housing. A couple things to think about. So you have in proximity here, here's the Temple of Fenrin. Here's the Southern Barracks. This entire compound here, that's the granaries. So this entire compound here is, and I'm treating each of these as granaries. This entire compound here is devoted to the military and civil defense. So we could have some folks that are living over in here who are devoted to that. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go find one of these big chunks of tight, smaller, compact housing here. And we'll see what makes sense and fits. Because we have in here stuff like this, and we have a few that are like that, or like that, or like that. I'm going to just grab this for reference and get a feeling for, I'll try and grab it for reference, get a feeling for how that could fit. Something like that could fit. Something like that could fit very well there. So we'll drop that in there as a first piece. And then we will, let's see, I want to do something like that. I think I've used that. I'm not going to drop it again. Let's see what that looks like. I'm going to increase scaling and see how well this renders. Renders pretty good. Let's make it flat to the wall. So I think that's going to be, I'm guessing, I didn't even think about it good. Not bad. I'll call it 35 then. Alright, 30. Not nearly as good as I thought. Alright. I don't want to make it too close to the wall. You take the scale down a little bit. We'll call it 180. Alright. So I'm going to drop that. Try the rotation at 335. Flip it. Control Z on that. Oops. What did I wipe out? Don't know. I'm going to just go the other way. Alright, so take that to 45. It was 25, wasn't it? I'm going to go there. Let's drop the scale down to 150. Alright, that's okay. That looks good. Alright, so anything else we want to do that way, or do we want to build out more individual components? I am thinking, it's got a little bit weird angle. That's Kent really enjoying something. All right. There we go. There we go. And I think we're going to do one of my crazy fallback odd things. We're going to go find something like that. See how it does when you drop the scale in terms of rendering. Take it down to 50%. Eh. Oh, that's interesting. But no. That's fine. All right. We can bring this up a little bit, I think. So we will do that. See, in two spots where it makes good sense to do it, so I will do it there. And go find a brush. Go switch back to Dungeon Fog for paint. Hey out there. Ask us if you have questions. Always a pleasure to have somebody on the stream. And what I'm doing here, and I've been doing this for a while, is I'm building out the dungeons of Castle Blackmoor, and this is Blackmoor City. And down here, what we really have is the original Blackmoor map, and I've been using that as reference. And I worked for Dave, writing for him back in the day. And I didn't have a huge role. I just had a really good opportunity to. I managed the MMORPG, which would be like the living campaign. It's would be like the Adventures League now, so I managed that for him and for Dustin Klingman. And what else did I do for him? Well, I wrote this book called Riders of Hawk, which was based on the Peshwa, and that was pretty cool. And I worked in media for a long time, so I wasn't able to commit myself as much as I wanted to that. I am much happier just playing and being a DM. But hey, pleasure to have you watching. So what I've been doing here is I have been modeling this based on the old, the old map. This was the first and second edition version of Blackmoor, actually really the first edition expert set version. And it was really designed to be like a frontier town. And what Dave did in 3035 is it became much more of an imperial city. And we never got around to making a map. We were getting there, and then, Dave passed. So what I've done is pull together that map again, using this as a baseline and then extrapolating based on what's in the 3.0, 3.5 setting of the Dungeons of Castle Blackmoor. And of course, I'm running a 5e stream, and this kind of supports that. And I have built out a bunch of stuff in here, and I'm using Dungeon Fog, and I like Dungeon Fog a lot of ways. But here's the big chunk, the vast majority of it right there. And I've just finished the last of the stuff I'm building in here, and now I'm in another big section of the city. And what I have to figure out in this big section of the city is how do I want to lay my maps down, or how do I want to lay my streets. And one of the things that I'm doing, to be perfectly honest with you, is modeling the sort of the streets that go around. So let me put her out to about 100% and I'll show you what I've been doing. And one of the things about this is it always resets for you. Haven't built the dungeon, the actual castle Blackmoor yet. That's going to be one of the last things I do. I may rethink some of the design here. Here you got a bunch of temples up in here. Some wealthy estates. One of the players in my game is a Galen, and that's his compound right there. Here is the University of Blackmoor, which is a big deal in the 3.5 setting, 3.0 setting. That sits right over top of some interesting stuff. And then what I have done is I've built a street that runs around the length of the entire city. And I'm going to use that in a bunch of different ways. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that. Been meaning to when I haven't. So I got that lined up. And then I'm going to finish, I think, this stretch along the wall here. And let's see, how do I want to do this? Do I want to draw the street from down here? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work this section here. And I have made this pretty solid. Not really anything that cuts in there. I could have a street coming in through there. I think I want to rethink that piece now. I'm going to drop that. Got that running across the city, so I'm going to rework this corner and I'm going to have this street run over, and I'm going to have it, whoops, escape from that. That's a rendering issue there. It will be fine. I think I'm going to bring this down here, and let me think about that. Alright, best way to do that with this particular tool is to go over here and purchase some assets. And I've got to go from the dungeon box stuff, which is great, but is really just designed to be, you know, for building out smaller maps. And example of smaller maps, just to give you some context, some other things that I'm working on. Good you're here. Alright, save my map. Always save your stuff, otherwise you curse. So out here, and they do give you a good warning. I'm going to hide the old Blackmoor City map for you for now. I've been working on a few things. Here is, let's see. Make certain I got the right thing pulled up. Well, yeah, this is the Dungeons of Castle Blackmoor. It's one of the maps. And so it is rendering now. Software is great at, you know, giving you a decent environment. And I've got a bunch of images and it has to build out one at a time for you. But so I've been building the Dungeons of Castle Blackmoor using Dungeon Fog also as software. And it's pretty cool stuff. And let me back off a little bit so you can get a better view of this particular level, which everybody hasn't seen yet, but I've been working on, and give you a real good idea what this looks like. And let me show you what level 1 looks like. That's the one that's active right now. And it's still loading images because I scaled out. But alright, so this is your level 1. And your level 1 is above the level 2. You can kind of see how it's laid out there. So you have different connections. And let's see, I am going to hop out of here for you. That's a huge, huge file. And we're getting the spinning thing of doom right now. But I'm going to show you Galen Manor. What I'm doing on in the bigger map is I am building out locations that are important to the campaign, and I use Fantasy Grounds, and what I do is I pin things in Fantasy Grounds. So you have a physical map that you can hop to. And this particular map, Galen Manor, one of the nobles, and this is all built from assets that come with Fantasy Grounds, and I'm in the process of building this out for the players so they have it. Galen Manor is one. I have two nobles in my campaign, one who is not based out of the city of Blackmoor, and one who is, and this is his family setting. And I'm, building this out. This is floor one, ground floor. There is a second floor that, based on a number of, floors in the house, gets more detail. There's a third floor, and there's going to be a basement, which of course will have funky and interesting things it's connected to, because woohoo! But anyhow, just showing you how I'm using Dungeon Fog, because you stopped in. And I'm going to go back to building my city. So we're going to back out of this, and it's not nearly as big and complex of a file, so it should hop fairly easily for us. And we will go back to my clone map. I had a rendering issue here, and I abandoned that map and went to a previous version and cloned, and I was able to fix it. Dungeon Fog does a pretty good job. I don't have a ton of issues with things like that, but occasionally you get them. It's just the nature of the beast. So we will go to props, which in this instance is buildings, because of the scale that I'm in. When you're in a different level of rendering, it has a tendency to be other things. All right, so I will hop back over to my collections, and it's got to load them because I shifted out of maps, so it will build these out, and it's got a few, so I was wading through about 2,000 images. Alright, so gonna work this angle here for a bit, try and get that through line built. So let me think what that'll look like. Alright, got our inventory. Alright, let's take a couple long runs of street here, see what we come up with. Alright, let's spin that. Oops. See, that's one of the bad things occasionally. I guess I see some buildings outside of the city that I have not deleted yet, where I drop them when I resize and I'm going to a different scale to work with. Alright, that may be very, very useful. Don't really want to change that angle, though. So I'm going to hang on to that piece, change my mind. That's got some right angle to it. Could drop that in there. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So let's give this a little bit of rotation. We'll pull about 20 degrees worth of rotation on that. Oop, the other 20, so we'll go to 340. And that'll give us a nice angle. I'm going to drop that there, tighten out that square a little bit, and that is interesting. That works. And I'll continue to draw across. Now, I think this is a rendering issue. It might be an error, and it's driving me crazy because, it's driving me crazy. So I'm going to go and fix that. Go back to the Dungeon Fog piece, and that is workstone, and this entire chunk is done in the dark cobblestone. So I'm going to go get my brush, and I'm going to go fix that because, oh my god, it's so annoying. And I will go back to dropping buildings. And I'm going to go back to my collections. Take a look at this. So we stream Blackmoor Saturdays at 3. It's the only thing I'm streaming right now. Is an RPG campaign. When I play different games, like I'm playing Where the Water Tastes Like Wine, which is a great story game. I stream that intermittently. I do this intermittently. But the most consistent thing I do is Blackmoor. And we're doing our 8th episode, so we're about 2 months into the process here. So, all right, that needs to be backed intelligently. So what I will do, I'm gonna 45 degree that and see where it lands. Yeah, pretty good, pretty close. We'll try 65 next. Pull it over by 20 degrees, and I'm going to drop that there. Nice size. Backs that up. I can drop some green space into that. I won't worry about building the rest of that later. And I want a nice long run of building right now, long and straight. Got that one already. There it is. I almost grabbed it again. All right. Let's see what that does. That does it. I'll drop that. And then let's take a look at this one. Not quite. Should start the angle. Alright, so I'm going to drop that in with a 45. Swing it over a little bit more. We'll take it back up to 65. And I'm going to increase scale on this. I'm going to take it up to 175, see how it looks. Alright, kick the angle a little bit more. Oops. Alright, drop that there. That renders well. And that takes us up. We're starting to get some interior streets, and there's a slight arc we need to do to make this tie off. So I'm going to go over here and work on the other side for a bit. While that is going to pretty much do it. That was very nice. Alright, so I've got that angle. Oops, other 75. Let's try 300. Not quite. 210. Getting there. Let's try that as a placeholder. Yeah, I don't like that real heavy exterior. I mean, sometimes you have to use it just because there's only so many pieces in this set. But I'm going to spin that. Starting to get that line drawn. All right, so I'd say it's better to burn out than to fade away. All right. Starting to see the line there. Oh, that's cool. But no, I can't do that. $260, not 20. I like that, even though it's that nasty black thing. Let's see what happens when I do this. Does it clean up when you reduce it? Just take it down to 50. Yeah, it does. Alright, and we can pull it down to there. See if it looks any better when it's a little bit bigger. No, we're going to stay with 50. Ah! Not 6,500. Alright, we'll leave that there. Okay. Finish that line. I gotta get an interior arc there. Any questions? Anything you want to know? Opinions? Alright, good. My dad, who is awesome. Hey Dad, just brought me an ice pop, so I'm going to just take it.
Well, Gray picked on him all a while.
Oh yeah?
And the little fella tries to fight back, but he's in the wrong weight class.
Dad's got a new kitten that's about 8 weeks old, and his cats are, you know, protesting the presence of the kitten, and he, you know, is about as big as my palm, maybe, but believes he can take on the world, and I gotta respect that. Okay, so I was trying to drop that in there, so that's going to need some rotation now. So let's take some 65 just to start. Wrong side. 315. No, not at all. All right. A little bit of reconnaissance by depth charge here, obviously. There it is. All right. This is the most fiddly and annoying piece of it, stringing together the sections. Once you're through it, it's not too bad. And you can draw these nice, large chunks. So, all right. How's that play? The other 90. All right, we'll make interesting kind of space there, a little bit wider. Yeah, that angle's not sinking. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go in the other direction first. Scale that up a little bit. Looks like it's working nice and crisp. Yeah, that's fine. That may be it right there. Just drop it and take a look at it. Yeah, there we go. Gotta keep pulling this in a little bit more. Bring that up some, see what it looks like. No, not 1,000. No, no, no. Yeah, maybe not. That works nice. Oh, 3 o'clock. I gotta hop on another call. So absolutely thanks for stopping in, taking a look at what I'm doing. Appreciate it. And you know, we stream our D&D game 3 o'clock on Saturday EST, and we're talking more and more about Blackmoor. And in terms of what I'm doing now, I'm going to finish this arc, play with the building sizes a little bit to make certain that they sync up really well. And then I have the major street sort of synced. And then I'll start to break out the neighborhoods and build some cross streets. And we'll be done. I have gotten quicker and quicker doing this over time. And that's helped us, you know, help me build things. Thank you so much for your time today. And you have a great day. And if you have any questions, give me a shout at any time. You have a good one.